Hey everybody, it's Ben here from Wild Fox Training, and what I want to do today is talk to you about migrating. So when you migrate or you want to move your website either from your local kind of test instance, if you're that technical and you know how to do that, I've got some tutorials online around how to do that. Either you've developed locally or you've developed your website in either on a web server and a different domain name, like what's called a subdomain, or an area of web hosting that isn't where your website will end up. And I'll say that a different way. So if, for example, you wanted your site to go live at mymembers.co.nz, which is the site that we've been playing around with, and for whatever reason you didn't want anyone to see what you're up to, then when you were developing, you may have installed a plugin which is called under maintenance mode, where if you click that option or install a plugin, then no one from the internet can see what you're up to. That's one way of doing it. The other way of building a site before going live is to do it locally or in a subdomain, which is a different domain name to what you've got. So if that's the case, or for example, you wanted to change your domain name or your hosting and you wanted to move your website from where it currently was living, basically where the files are living, to another location, then all of those cases are valid cases to migrate. And if we log into our website and go to the back end, we go to this plugins. We haven't really talked about plugins too much. We go add new. We can add a plugin, which is like a little app, which installs into our website and downloads files to our web server. An app that do various different things, and there are millions. There are millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of different apps, and I have different tutorials that talk about all these different little apps. And one of the apps that is useful is a migration app. So if we just click the word migration, and here you put in keywords like Google, and it will return some results. And how the results are displayed are quite important. And I'm not going to go over that today, but how many people have installed it and what the rating is. Is it compatible with your version of WordPress, and how often it's been updated. These 4 pieces of information are very important when selecting a plugin of any description. You want it to be compatible with your version of WordPress and updated recently, so maybe within the last couple of months. Install numbers can be a little bit like YouTube channels, can be a little bit don't necessarily paint the picture of whether or not this plugin's any good. Rating is generally a good indicator, especially if there's lots of them and it's not just 1 or 2 which the publisher's got his mates to like his plugin. So anyway, we're looking for a migration plugin, and there's lots. If you look down here, all these migrate. If you put in another word like move website or export website, then more results will come about. And I have literally spent hours looking and playing with a lot of these migration website plugins and migrating from one site to another. And you can, this is quite a popular one, Duplicator. There's another one that looks very similar. It's got the same name. If you go to page 2, there's probably another one called Duplicator. The names don't seem to be unique. They're not copyright. All these plugins should achieve the same outcome. That's the idea, right? So you search for migration and you think that if you install a plugin that's got the keyword migration against it and you read the description, which is clicking more details, always do this, not that, because that will download it to your web server and to your website. If you'd think that cloning a website or migrating would all be equal. Well, they're not, like anything else in life. If we go back to the start, there's 2 reasons why they're not always equal. One is a good reason, which is the fact that when you read the description, which is always a good idea, always do this before you download it, and you look at the screenshots. I always look at the screenshots because it's a good indication of functionality, but it looks okay. Look at the description. So one of the reasons why the plugin that comes up in the search results may not be the best migration plugin for you to achieve moving from one site to another or one location to another is because it simply doesn't have all the features that you want. What we want is we specifically want to export our database and all the files and every piece of content that we've got, either all of it or the ability to export all of it and configure or change and filter and go, we don't want to, for example, export all the pages we have in the trash. But for all intents and purposes, we want a direct copy, an exact copy of what we've got, and that involves the files, all files, and the database. So a lot of these plugins simply, if you read the description, don't say that they actually do that. They don't say that they export everything. And more importantly, there's two sides to migration. There is exporting. So migrate, for me, migration is the ability to export and import. And so go from a location to a location and clone, do a direct duplicate of your site. And that includes files and databases. For me, that is the definition of migration. A lot of people might argue about that, but that's the definition. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. This is why people search for this term and the keyword migration. And a lot of the plugins simply just don't do that. They're achieving other results or half the job or doing something because that's not actually the use case, what we call the scenario or the objective of some of these plugins. And so they come up in result because they're tagged that, and actually, they do what they need to do, import and export widgets. That's not going to help us. That's only one part of the site. So that's okay. And that's fine, and that's understandable. The other reason, there's two more reasons, but one other reason that a plugin doesn't fully complete migration, aka exporting all the files and database we want, and importing the files and database to the destination, is because they are free versions and there is a premium paid version, which isn't that obvious when you install it. So there's a couple of these, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but some of these bigger ones that come up if you click migrate, they literally, you install them, you export, it then charges you or says that if you want it to save it to your desktop or to Google Drive, then that's an optional extra. That would be okay if we could still get it to our desktop. If we want to pay for that premium feature to save it to Google Drive, then sure, I think that's fair. But I have used, I think it's one of the duplicator ones, so it's a dupe, which had great reviews, millions of these stars and everything. And then you click export, and if you wanted to import it, so you've exported it, you're quite happy. You go to your new location, which might be, instead of my members, it might be yourmembers.co.nz. I install the plugin at that end. I've got it at this end. I export I'll show you how to do that with one of these plugins, but you export and click export. It exports all your files. You upload it on your new destination, which might be, what I just said before, imembers.co.nz. You install the same plugin and you go to import it and it goes, boop. You can't import that as a premium feature. And for me, that's not on. The fact that I think they're trying to show you that they've got great functionality and that you might want to buy the product because you've done all that hardware exporting. But anyway, apart from saying that is shit, I have gone through a lot of these and I've found what I think is the best one. There probably is a better one, or best is always a bad word because there will be other people who have done the same thing that I have. But this guy here, which is updated recently, always up to date, got millions of downloads, but specifically there's all-in-one, which is hinted in the name, migration, WP migration, WordPress migration, is the best tool that I've used. I've never had any trouble with it. It's simple and it works. And if you install this on the from location, this website, and you then had another website called imembers.co.nz and you installed the same plugin on that version, so you activate it, then you would be able to import the export files from this. So anyway, you install the plugin, this one here, all in one, WP Migration. I don't get any money for promoting these guys. I haven't even probably rated them online, and I probably should because they're bloody good. It appears here, import, export. Okay, but don't be fooled by the menu item. You need to actually carry out the exercise before you know it actually works. Click backups. They even allow you to create a backup too, which is great. And I should leave feedback and say I would like to review this because I really do like this and I should recommend it. But if you, so you can export, and when you export, it's given this very simple interface and it says, do you want to replace some text in the database? This is an advanced feature. This is when you export your website, migrate your website, and you want a plugin that exports everything. It exports the users. So if you've got a specific login details here and you import it into another site and that site isn't blank and it has a different username and password, whatever you've set here, everything in the database, including users' names and passwords, will overwrite what you've got at the other end. So you will lose that. So just remember your details here, and this will be a direct copy, which I love. That's the way it should be. But what they're saying here is you can actually make some changes if you want to. But what I do is I go to export advanced options, and I just say I don't want to export the spam comments because they're marked as spam, and any of my post revisions. So every time you create a post and you make a change, it keeps a revision. All the rest I keep. These are all kind of advanced bits and pieces. Unless I specifically didn't want to, I might not export media, but I don't think that's a good idea if you want a direct copy because it's not a direct copy if you're getting rid of media files. You click export to, and this is where these guys make their money. All these other options below, file, I think FTP is free. These ones, if you click on it, it will then load up and ask you to buy some additional bits and pieces. And it costs about $100, which is quite a lot. But to be fair, if you were using this as a backup mechanism, they're charging you for it. They're saying that's where we get our money from. If you want us to back up, that's what effectively, instead of just migrating, if you want us to back up to that at a regular basis, which is not a bad idea if you don't have that feature, then you can pay for it. But all you need to do is go to File, and it will start to, I'm going to stop that, it'll start to run through, tell you if there's any problems, export a file, it downloads the file, and I think it's called a WPress file. It compresses it, it puts everything inside that file that you need, and then if you go to the new site and you install the plugin and you click import, then all you need to do is import it. Drag the file here, go to file and find it. And if you do that, so if it's a different computer you're on or different location, save it, you can drag it to Google Drive and drag it back, input the file, and it will warn you that it's going to overwrite everything, and you say yes. There is another feature here which is it's limited to half a gig. If your website's bigger than that and you're migrating, then you probably have a big website and you're probably quite happy to get unlimited and maybe pay for that. But if it's under, yeah, there we go. If you've got a big website, $69, you deserve, that's pretty fair to pay. Never hit that. It means you've got a lot of crap in here. You can get rid of the media files before you export it. You import and it will override everything. And then you refresh the page and the plugin will be there, and everything else would have come across from the site that you exported. The username, plugins, the templates, and everything will function. So I'm not going to do that today because it will take a little while, but it's awesome. And this is the plugin you want, all-in-one WP migration. I believe it's the best that I've used. There are probably others out there that are good, and I should probably say thanks, guys. I really like you, and especially that you're free, and I'm quite happy to pay for you if I was using a big commercial website and my file size was massive. So that's just a quick run through about how to migrate and to use this plugin. And if you want to migrate, then use this one, or do your research and spend hours as well, and then figure out one that does import and export, and it's not going to charge you for that fee, which is, I'm happy for these optional extras to be paid for, but I'm even happy to pay for a plugin that does the job really, really, really well. But I like this business model, and I think these guys have done a good job. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.